We worry that our kids are being sucked into a superficial online culture. Are they, for better or for worse, evolving from Homo sapiens into some sort of Homo interneticus?
To find out whether the web really is trivializing our relationships and rotting our brains. At its heart, this is about what makes us us, and whether the web distorts or enriches our very humanity.
Over just 20 years, we've seen how the web is transforming almost every aspect of our outward lives. Its huge impact on culture, politics, and business. But we've yet to understand its deeper impact on our psychology. Back in Britain, the ultimate skeptic is the neuroscientist Susan Greenfield. She tirelessly voices her concern about how the web may be distorting children's sense of reality.
When a child is in the real world, even if it's a real world of a doll's house, this is a world where your doll might break. Someone might stamp on your toy soldier. So you're learning that actions have consequences. So imagine you're a young person on a computer. It is a world where there's a strong premium on hearing and vision, on strong sensation. There is a triumph of the senses over the meaning. If you give a human brain an environment where actions don't have consequences, if you give that brain an environment that is just literal, where there is no significance, might it not be the case that that brain stays in a infantilized state? And when I talk to parents and people individually, I've yet to meet someone who's disagreed with me. Everyone seems to feel a kind of uneasy fear and a poorly articulated worry that they can't really put into words, but nonetheless they feel there's something that needs to be done.
Susan Greenfield represents the most extreme view. But across Britain, there's unease that children are growing up only knowing life online. For the first time on television, using a data sample of 8 million people, we can reveal how far the UK population has been sucked into the orbit of the online social networks. The size of each of these web planets represents the number of visits it receives over each month. There's Bebo for the early teens, MySpace for the music lovers, but the biggest of them all is Facebook. According to Facebook, 350 million people worldwide have Facebook accounts. If it were a country, it would be the third largest, behind China and India. It's so pervasive that Facebook has become the main target of parents' angst. The key criticism of Facebook is that it makes friendship meaningless, and that undermines society. The label of friendship is just as easily attained by lifelong buddies as it is by total strangers hoarding connections. How true is this? To find out more, we need to understand why Facebook became so popular.
On the 24th of May, 2007, just 10 days after his 23rd birthday, Mark Zuckerberg shuffled into this hall and explained the secret of Facebook's triumphant success.
Today, together, we're going to start a movement. At Facebook, we're pushing to make the world a more open place. And we do this.
Zuckerberg's aim was that Facebook would become the destination to connect to friends and share information, text, photos, or social events. All that you need to do is sign up, create a profile, find your mates, and have them agree to become your Facebook friend. In this way, each Facebook member carves out their own group of friends, all within the larger network.
You'll see that what we're building is a massive network of real connections between people through which information can flow more efficiently than it really ever has in the past. And it's changing the way the world works.
People have the experience of having thousands of friends. Right? Well, no one really has thousands of friends. It's either the word thousands or the word friends has to be struck out for that sentence to make any sense.
We've seen how Facebook needs volume. The problem is the commodity it wants to accumulate is human relationships. Or are there some immutable aspects of human friendship that Facebook can't change? I need to find out more about the evolution of relationships itself. I'm meeting the World Authority on Primate Groups, Oxford professor Robin Dunbar. Can you talk me through what's going on here? What's the social life of a primate group about?
It's all about social bonding, personalized relationships between individuals. Primates live in a really intensely social world. They spend a lot of time grooming each other. That sort of gives them the sense of bonding. The problem with grooming is it's a one-on-one activity. It just sets an upper limit on the size of groups in the end. So the most social species really only have average group sizes around 50 or 60 in primates.
In 1992, Dunbar came up with a formula that predicts the upper limit to the number of bonds any primate like us can ever have. And it's proved so reliable that it's become known as the Dunbar number.
We sort of plugged human brain sizes into the same equation, and it gives this number of 150. And sure enough, that turns up all over the place in human communities. It turns up in the military, it turns up in average village sizes in the Doomsday Book, 1087 AD, it turns up in hunter-gatherer communities.
So what does the Dunbar number mean for the Facebook generation, Homo interneticus? Has Facebook actually changed the upper limits of friendship previously set by nature? When Facebook's in-house sociologists analyzed all active networks, they found that, sure enough, nature is playing out online. The reality is that the average Facebook member currently has well below Dunbar's upper limit of 150. In fact, the number of Facebook friends they interact with on a daily basis is surprisingly small, typically only 5 or 6.
So while you can claim you have this huge network of people you know in some vague sense, most of those relationships I wouldn't call relationships. They're voyeurs.
So through the Dunbar number, we found that Facebook's drive for network effect isn't changing our relationships. For me, there's something deeper going on, beyond this superficial issue of numbers. The point about Facebook is that it does something else to our relationships. It puts them in a constant loop of digital information. What Facebook pioneered before anyone else was status updates, fed between friends in real time. But at the beginning, it wasn't like that. Back in 2004, it was a simple college student website.
Legend has it that one night after a bad date, Mark came back and hacked into the student databases to create a website for rating all of the women on campus. 2 hours later, 80% of the student population had voted, crashing the entire student computer servers.
Mark was the type of person who was always, thinking of technical solutions to social problems.
Seeing the demand for connection, Zuckerberg started a new venture, Facebook.
I built the first version of Facebook in a couple of weeks in my dorm room at Harvard. And I built it just because I wanted the people around me, the students at Harvard, to be able to share information with each other and stay connected a little bit better. I emailed a few of my friends, and they emailed a few of their friends, and within a few days, I think thousands of people were on it at Harvard.
All of us, particularly students caught in the social whirl of college life, crave news and gossip about our friends. What changed everything is what Zuckerberg did next. He completed the loop of information on Facebook with something he called Newsfeed. It meant that anything you posted on your site was instantly broadcast to all of your friends and vice versa. They didn't have to go looking at your site. All updates came to them.
We launched the product at midnight. We were convinced that people were going to love it. And we thought, this is the kind of thing that could change the web.
It's this culture of real-time updating and not the numbers of friends that's the big shift in all of our relationships. Constant status updates, this being in the online loop, has dragged the web into a new age, inspiring many imitators, most famously Twitter. But more importantly, what does this shift mean for you and me as we live our daily lives? I'm going to meet Sherry Turkle, an eminent clinical psychologist who's been studying our relationship with technology for 20 years. She's actively researching how the web's feedback loops challenge our sense of who we are.
I think you've started to get almost a new personality type. It moves from, I have a feeling, I want to make a call, to, I want to have a feeling, I need to make a call. There's a sense in which you almost need the validation and the support of the community to in fact feel the feeling in the first place. Bringing other people into the loop of feeling your feeling. This is very seductive.
So as a recipient of all of this information, how do you think this is affecting me?
You start to want to hide. I cannot live the BlackBerry version of my life. I cannot read, know all of the places and spaces and feelings and the Facebook. And my life is more than I can live. We're no longer nourished but consumed in some way by what we've created.
In my life, it's increasingly rare that I have time of my own, time to think. I have a Twitter account and several blogs to maintain, plus my Facebook status updates, my photo diary, my video blogs, and my podcast that I have to record. And that's the content that I create. There's also the content that I consume, not least of which are the emails that are at my inbox and all the messages on my answering machine. I was away for a week, and I had 283 emails that I had to go through.